Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Before we begin, I would like to request that we turn off all our cell phones or mute them. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. As Commander of Sidney American Legion Post 433, I have the honor of thanking all of you for being here this Memorial Day morning. Myself and my fellow Legionnaires have at times had to brave the many ever-present elements of Mother Nature. But out of respect, many of you have done the same. You come here every year on Memorial Day to not only remember or to pay tribute to a close friend or a good neighbor, but you specifically come here to remember a relative or a loved one who served in defense of our country. The many graveside flags you see here displayed today are in respect of those who have worn the military uniform of the United States and have since passed away. The flag of the United States of America that you see at half-staff on the flagpole to my left is not and never will be neglected or considered as being a periodic symbol or an ordinary suggestive piece of cloth. Its presence needs to remain forever, for it's our national way of not only conveying or expressing our liberty and our freedom, but it also embraces the concepts of spirited dignity, especially when we remember those who paid the ultimate sacrifice in giving their lives for our country. In August of 1974, when my wife Sherry and I were approaching the city limits of the village of Sidney from the north here, coming from St. Joe down that very road, our eyes fell upon a lovely cemetery and commented how the freshly mowed green grass blended with all the beautiful flowers and the sunshine of the day. Today, as it was back then, this cemetery remains being a peaceful and a well-respected resting place for our friends and our loved ones. The name of the cemetery is listed on the monument on the road over there. And a special thank you goes to Sidney Township Supervisor Tim Osterberg, the Board of Trustees for Sidney Township, and all those who help in many different ways to maintain and preserve this beautiful place known as Mount Hope Cemetery. I would at this time would like to ask you, if you are sitting, to stand if you are able, and uncover as Legion Chaplain Fred Olds comes up here and delivers our opening prayer. Fred?
Hold on! Hooray! Rest!
Heavenly Father, we are gathered here this Memorial Day to honor those comrades, servicemen and women who have passed on before us, and to remember anew their sacrifices and sufferings endured in the service of our country. To them we give tribute for guarding and protecting the freedoms and privileges we yet enjoy in this great nation. Lord, we pray that you will continue to watch over our comrades who this day bravely serve beyond our shores.
Thank you, ma'am. You guys got good voices this morning. I now have the privilege to introduce to you someone new to Sidney. A pastor who comes from us, Sidney Christian Church. May I present to you Pastor Doug Brooklyn. Well, good morning. Thank you. It is my privilege to be here this morning. As many of you are well aware, Memorial Day is more than just the beginning of summer vacation. It's not just the day the family has a picnic, ball game, or just another 3-day weekend. This is a day of remembrance. This is a day to remember America's eventful military history, to remember the country's millions of servicemen and women who have died fighting for freedom, who are still fighting and are yet to be counted. Since 1868, Americans have celebrated Memorial Day to honor those who fought and died to preserve our freedom. We set aside one day each year to pause and reflect on the debt of gratitude that we owe to the brave patriots who stood in the face of danger when the defense of liberty demanded the ultimate sacrifice. I love these words of President John F. Kennedy. He says, "A nation reveals itself not only by the men it produces, but also by the men it honors, the men it remembers." By honoring the men and women who have sacrificed their lives to protect our freedom, we ensure that their heroic spirit will live on. Donald Rumsfeld reminds us that their sacrifice spans generations, and yet they share a common bond. They all died for a cause much greater than themselves. From each stone that lay at Arlington, each etching on the wall, and each patriot that lay at rest overseas, each burial at sea, each represents a sailor, airman, soldier, Marine, Coast Guardsman who left behind a lasting legacy of freedom, sacrifice, and virtue. And for that, we are forever indebted. I would be remiss to neglect expressing my personal gratitude each year to the man from Kilo Company, 3rd Battalion, 9th Marines, now listed on the Vietnam Memorial Wall, who on July 4th, 1966, during Operation ANWR, stood between my father and an exploding Amtrak vehicle. A man who did not just give his life, but preserved the life of another. A man I will never know, whose family I will never meet, but a man I will never, ever forget. A few years ago, I had the privilege of going with my father and family to our nation's capital to visit all the incredible memorials to the many fallen soldiers of our past wars, and to stand before the Vietnam Wall in silent gratitude. As I watched my dad read
names of some of the men whom he fought side by side with, I couldn't help but be grateful to God that my dad came home. There are many mothers and fathers, wives and children who today cannot stand beside, cannot bend over to kiss, or lean in to give a hug, or reach out to hold the hand of the soldier they watched to go off to fight on foreign soil. So let us give thanks every day of our lives, for all the men and women who have given everything for the sake of others. For they have rightfully earned our gratitude, our respect, and a seat of highest honor. Someone appropriately wrote, "As Americans, we have been blessed to have so many people who are genuinely committed to something larger than themselves. People who understood duty for the greater good. And we must never forget that the freedoms we enjoy today are due to these men and women. The sum total of who we are as a nation and as a people are mirrored in their sacrifices." Let the words, "United we stand," and "God bless America" still hold the power to stir our hearts on this very special day. Let the feelings of true patriotism and love for all those who have risked their lives for the sake of America be put on full display. Let a love for the morals and values this nation was founded upon, and our love for God, under whom this nation stands, be the things that binds all Americans together in a very special bond. Do not stand idly by as far too many of this country's citizens would try to throw away the very moral fabric that knitted this country together. I'm fearful that if we continue to allow our ancestors' faith to be mocked, the freedoms that we now know and cherish will be lost, and these deaths that we here today celebrate will be forgotten. Never forget. Never give up. Stand strong. Pass it on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very nice. We would now like to enter into what we call the ceremony to the tomb of our unknown soldier. I would ask you to please stand once again if you are able and uncover, please.
On guard! Fall in!
I would like to,
March! Arms!
I would like to introduce Lynn Hovland, President of Sidney American Legion's Ladies Auxiliary, who will now place a memorial wreath on the wooden cross symbolizing the tomb of the unknown soldier.
Reset! Arms!
I would now like to introduce Sidney American Legion Post member Susan McLean, who will place an American flag on the tomb. this concludes our program for the day. Once again, I want to thank